Peppa's Car Ride. It is a lovely sunny day. Daddy Pig thinks it's the perfect day to go for a drive. Hooray! Says Peppa. Daddy Pig presses a button to take the roof off the car. Peppa and George are very excited. They love their little red car. Clank, boing! The car is making funny noises. They must take it to Grandad Dog's garage to be mended. Grandad Dog lends them a new blue car. It has lots of different buttons. One of the buttons forces the roof down. Oh dear, it's starting to rain. Daddy Pig cannot find a button to close the roof and sprays himself with water. Peppa and George think this is very funny. Hee hee, ha ha! Back at the garage, Grandad Dog has mended the little red car. Hooray! The new car was fun, but Peppa likes their old car the best. The end. Peppa and the police car. Peppa and her friends are waiting for special visitors. The police are coming to help you ride your bikes safely, says Madame Gazelle. The police drive noisy cars, cries Freddy Fox. Nina, Nina. No, police cars go woo, 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 says Peppa. Hello, 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 say Officer Panda and Officer Squirrel. We are here to help you learn to ride your bikes safely. Now, children, says Officer Panda, I'm going to drive to the bottom of the hill. When you hear Officer Panda turn on the siren, circle down the hill. When you hear it again, use your brakes to stop, says Officer Squirrel. The children set off on their bikes. They whiz down the hill. Whee! Officer Panda watches as Peppa and her friends zoom towards him. He sounds the siren so everyone will put on their brakes. As soon as they hear the siren, the children use their brakes to stop. Screech! Very good braking, says Officer Panda. Well done! That's how you ride your bicycle safely. Are there any questions? Says Officer Squirrel. Do you think your siren goes ooh or nino? Asks Peppa. It goes like this, says Officer Panda. He and Officer Squirrel get into the car and put on the siren. Everyone loves the siren. Ooh, 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 nino, nino. The end. George's train ride. George is going on a long train journey with Daddy Pig to test some concrete. Peppa and Mummy Pig have come too. Choo-choo! Cries George. He loves riding on the train. Full steam ahead! Shouts Miss Rabbit, the train driver. Are we nearly there yet? Asks Peppa. No, Peppa, says Daddy Pig laughing. We won't get there until tomorrow morning. But where will we sleep? Asks Peppa. Here, says Daddy Pig, pressing a button. Suddenly, 4 beds appear. Magic beds, gasps Peppa. Mummy Pig presses another button that opens a secret door. And a magic bathroom, gasps Peppa, peeking inside. Choo-choo, cries George. He loves the magic train. I wonder what this is for, says Daddy Pig, pressing another button. Daddy found the magic shower, says Peppa, giggling. Everyone puts on their pajamas. Peppa and George hop into their beds. Choo-choo! Cries George. He loves sleeping on the train. Peppa and George soon fall fast asleep. The train keeps moving while they are sleeping. Jinga jinga choo-choo! In the morning, Miss Rabbit serves breakfast. Aren't you meant to be driving the train, Miss Rabbit? Asks Daddy Pig. It's fine, says Miss Rabbit. The train runs on rails. It can get lost. Soon after breakfast, the train arrives at the station. A big crowd is waiting for Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig gets off the train and taps some concrete. Tuck, tuck. Very good, he says, and the crowd cheers. My work is done, says Daddy Pig. Let's take the train home. Goody, says Peppa. We can sleep on the train again. Choo-choo, cheers George. He loves the train. Everyone loves the choo-choo train. Choo-choo. The end. Digger World. Peppa and George are visiting Digger World. Welcome to Digger World, says Mr. Potato, where all your digging dreams come true. George likes diggers, says Peppa. I like diggers too. Well, you'll both be driving real diggers today, says Mr. Potato. First, they go to the sand digger ride. Peppa and George jump on the diggers and move the levers while Mommy and Daddy Pig pedal. Soon they have filled up a great big bucket with sand. Excellent work, children, says Mr. Potato. Let's go to the next ride. Wall building. Peppa uses a forklift truck to stack the soft building blocks into a high wall. George uses a big swinging ball to knock it down. George! Shouts Peppa. Building things up, then knocking them down, it's all part of the fun with diggers, Mr. Potato chuckles. You have earned your digger badges today. You are now fully qualified. Digger drivers. What an excellent day, says Mommy Pig as they drive home. Stop! Shouts Mr. Bull. We are building a wall across the road. Mr. Bull, please, can we drive your digger? Asks Peppa. I'm afraid children can drive diggers, says Mr. Bull. But we've been to Digger World, says Peppa. Okay then, says Mr. Bull. Hop aboard! I'll drive the digger and you can have the important job of pushing the button, says Mr. Bull. This red one? Asks Peppa. No, the green one, shouts Mr. Bull. But it's too late. Peppa has pushed the red button. Oh, my wall, cries Mr. Bull. Sorry, Mr. Bull, whispers Peppa. George giggles. Digger, digger! Don't worry, Peppa, says Mr. Bull. Building things up, then knocking them down, it's all part of the fun with diggers. The end. Kylie's Kangaroos Submarine. Peppa is on holiday in Australia visiting Kylie Kangaroo. Mrs. Kangaroo is a marine biologist. She studies creatures that live in the sea. This is my submarine office, says Mrs. Kangaroo. The submarine goes deep under the water. It's so colorful, gasps Peppa. That's coral, says Mrs. Kangaroo. It's made of tiny creatures. We'll call this the Great Barrier Reef. Peppa would like to take the coral home. We can't take anything away, says Mrs. Kangaroo. Lots of creatures live in the reef, explains Kylie. Look, a turtle swims up to say hello. What a lovely bridge, says Peppa. George spots something in the sand. Mrs. Kangaroo blinks. It's a chest full of gold coins. The submarine picks the chest up. Wait, cries Peppa. We can't take anything away. Only natural things, says Mrs. Kangaroo. These gold coins don't belong here. The gold coins will pay for more marine research, says Kylie on the way home. What a good day on my submarine office, says Mrs. Kangaroo. Yes, says Peppa. It was amazing. The end. George's rocket. It is nearly night time, and Peppa and George are drinking hot milk. George is wearing a spacesuit. George loves rockets and space. As a treat, Mommy Pig says they can go and look through Grandpa Pig's telescope. Peppa and George have arrived at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house. What are you doing here? Asks Grandpa Pig. Could we take a look through your telescope, please? Asks Mommy Pig. Of course, replies Grandpa Pig. Grandpa Pig shows Peppa and George his telescope. Peppa looks through it first. She can see the North Star. Oh, she says. Now it is George's turn. He can see a planet with rings. George can see the planet Saturn, says Grandpa Pig. What is Saturn like? Asks Peppa. Saturn has rings made of rock and ice, and it is very cold, says Grandpa Pig. We could build a snowman, says Peppa. Look, gasps Grandpa Pig, a shooting star. You have to make a wish. I wish that when George is older, he will take me into space in his rocket, cheers Peppa. Hee hee! George giggles. George loves his rocket. Slow down, George. Peppa and George are watching racing cars on the television with Grandpa Pig and Daddy Pig. Vroom, vroom, George shouts. George loves racing cars. Grandpa Pig has made George a racing car. It has his favorite number on it. 2, gasps George excitedly. You'll be the best racing driver in the whole world, George, says Peppa. Vroom, vroom. George puts on his goggles and helmet and hops into his little racing car. Ready, steady, go, shouts Peppa. George starts pedaling. Pedal faster, George, cries Peppa. Faster, faster, faster. Vroom, 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 vroom. George pedals as fast as he possibly can. He zooms off up the hill straight towards my sandcastle, cries Peppa. Slow down, George. You're going to knock it over. But George can't hear Peppa. Slow down, George, shouts Grandpa Pig. But George can't hear him either. George pedals faster and faster towards the sandcastle. Don't worry, says Grandpa Pig. We can build another sandcastle. But Grandpa, cries Peppa, Daddy and Mr. Dinosaur are in the sandcastle. They are going to get squashed. At the last minute, George spots the toys hiding in the sand and turns his little racing car. He whizzes past the sandpit, then slows down to a stop. Mr. Dinosaur and Teddy are safe. Dinosaur! Grrr! Roars George. George! You're the best racing driver in the whole world, cheers Peppa, and the best at slowing down. The end. The wheels on the bus. Quiz at the end. Peppa and her friends are going on a school bus trip to the mountains. They are very excited. George, look, says Peppa. The bus has really big wheels. Wheels, says George, giggling. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round all day long. I love going on school bus trips, says Susie Sheep. Me too, says Peppa, especially when we have a picnic. Ding, 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 shouts George. The bell on the bus goes ding, 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 ding. The bell on the bus goes ding, 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 all day long. Peppa, what have you got in your lunchbox? Asks Susie. A green apple, replies Peppa. I've got a red apple, says Susie. Let's eat them now, cheers Peppa. The children on the bus go chatter, 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 chatter. The children on the bus go chatter, 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 all day long. The bus has arrived at the foot of the mountains. Mrs. Duck and her family are crossing the road ahead. Miss Rabbit stops the bus to let the ducks cross safely. The horn on the bus goes beep, 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 beep. The horn on the bus goes beep, 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 all day long. At the top of a mountain, Peppa and her friends get off the bus to look at the view. Wow! Everyone gasps. They can see lots of other mountains. Then they sit down to eat the rest of the food in their lunchboxes. Yummy! The children love the mountains and their picnic. Everybody has a great time. Home time! Cries Madame Gazelle. Let's go! On the ride home, everyone sings songs at the tops of their voices. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round all day long. Quiz time! Peppa and her friends are going on a trip. A. At the beach. B. To the mountains. The correct answer is B. To the mountains. The wheels on the bus go A. Round and round. B. Up and down. The correct answer is A. Round and round. In the lunchbox, Peppa has got A. A red apple. B. A green apple. Correct answer is A. A green apple. The end.